He's the man who redefined the spy thriller, a journalist who became a best-selling author, a storyteller so precise governments took notice. From The Day of the Jackal to The Odessa File, his books have captivated millions. This is the story of Frederick Forsyth, the master of spy thrillers. Part 1. Early life and formative years. Frederick McCarthy Forsyth was born on August 25, 1938, in Ashford, Kent, England. From an early age, young Frederick showed signs of being intellectually curious, adventurous, and determined to carve out a path far from the ordinary. Raised during the tumultuous years of World War II, Forsyth was shaped by a generation that knew the costs of conflict. He attended Tunbridge School and later studied at the University of Granada in Spain, an early signal of his affinity for international affairs. But what truly shaped his worldview was his time in the Royal Air Force. At just 19, he trained as a pilot flying fighter jets. This experience not only ignited his love for aviation but also introduced him to the complex machinery of military intelligence, a theme that would dominate his future writing. Part 2. The journalist turned spy. Before Frederick Forsyth ever wrote a novel, he was a reporter, and a very good one. He started with Reuters, where his assignments took him across Europe. Later, he joined the BBC, where his coverage of the Nigerian Civil War would mark a turning point. In the late 1960s, Forsyth was stationed in Biafra, covering one of the most brutal and underreported conflicts of the Cold War era. But the BBC, wary of politics, ordered Forsyth to toe the official British line. He refused. Disillusioned, he resigned and stayed in Biafra to report independently. This period exposed him to covert operations, propaganda, and the murky world of international arms dealing, all of which would later become key elements in his novels. Forsyth later admitted that during this time, he also worked with British intelligence. He wasn't just covering stories, he was living them. Part 3. The Day of the Jackal, a new kind of thriller. In 1971, Frederick Forsyth changed the spy thriller forever. He had returned to the UK broke and jobless. With little to lose, he decided to write a novel. Not just any novel, but a meticulously researched, tightly plotted thriller about an attempt to assassinate French President Charles de Gaulle. That novel was The Day of the Jackal. Published in 1971, it was an instant hit. The book stunned critics and readers alike with its realism, pacing, and cold-blooded assassin protagonist. What made it different? Forsyth's journalistic rigor. He didn't just imagine a plot. He built it from real locations, accurate procedures, and authentic spycraft. The story centers on a professional killer, the Jackal, hired by the OAS, a dissident French paramilitary group, to kill de Gaulle. The suspense doesn't come from car chases or explosions, but from the precision with which Forsyth crafts the hunt. The book was adapted into a successful 1973 film and is now regarded as a classic in its genre. Part 4. More than a one-hit wonder, could Forsyth follow up such a monumental debut? Oh yes, his second novel, The Odessa File, released in 1972, delved into Nazi war crimes and secret underground networks. The protagonist is a journalist, no surprise there, who stumbles upon a conspiracy to protect former SS officers. Again, Forsyth blended historical fact with fiction so seamlessly that readers couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. Then came The Dogs of War, 1974, a ruthless exposé of mercenaries and African politics. The novel revealed how corporations manipulate governments, a theme that remains frighteningly relevant today. Each book was a blockbuster. Each one displayed Forsyth's formula, a foundation of real-world research, morally gray characters, and a plot that unfolded like a military operation. Part 5. The Forsyth Formula. What made Forsyth's books so compelling? Firstly, research. Forsyth was obsessive about accuracy. He didn't rely on second-hand sources. He dug deep. He consulted arms dealers, ex-spies, and pilots. His prose is lean, factual, and tight, a reflection of his journalistic roots. Secondly, pacing. Forsyth had a genius for tension. His books start slowly, setting the scene with precision. But once the plot moves, it accelerates with unstoppable momentum. Thirdly, realism. Forsyth never wrote superheroes. His characters, even the killers, are human. They're skilled but fallible. Readers believed in his stories because they felt real. Part 6. later works and evolving themes. Forsyth didn't stop with the 1970s. His later novels continued to reflect the changing world. The Fourth Protocol, 1984, explored nuclear terrorism and Soviet subterfuge, echoing the real fears of the Cold War. The Fist of God, 1994, tackled the Gulf War, blending military technology with espionage. It featured a Mossad agent, Saddam Hussein's secret weapons program, and one of Forsyth's most ambitious plots. Icon, 1996, and The Afghan, 2006, shifted toward post-Cold War chaos and the war on terror. Though some critics felt these later works lacked the impact of his earlier novels, Forsyth still proved his finger was firmly on the geopolitical pulse. Part 7. A man of mystery. Frederick Forsyth has always been enigmatic. In 2015, he confirmed what many suspected. He had worked for MI6. For over 20 years, Forsyth provided intelligence under the radar while maintaining his public image as a novelist. It was the ultimate double life, and it gave his fiction an undeniable edge. His autobiography, The Outsider: My Life in Intrigue, released in 2015, sheds light on the man behind the myth. It's full of stories that feel like his novels: foreign coups, near-death escapes, and clandestine meetings. Part 8. Legacy and influence. Frederick Forsyth's influence on the spy thriller genre is immense. Writers like Tom Clancy, Daniel Silva, and even John le Carre, though stylistically very different, recognized his contribution. Forsyth made thrillers smart again. He proved that mass-market fiction could also be intelligent, meticulously plotted, and deeply political. More importantly, he showed readers the dark mechanisms behind the headlines. Governments, secret services, corporations. In Forsyth's world, nothing is simple and power is always dangerous. His books have sold over 70 million copies. They've been translated into dozens of languages. And even today, they are studied for their insights into the real world of espionage. Part 9. Final work and retirement. In 2016, Forsyth announced he would stop writing novels, citing age and health concerns. His final novel, The Fox, tells the story of a teenage hacker recruited by British intelligence. It was a fitting end to a remarkable career, blending modern technology, classic spycraft, and Forsyth's signature attention to detail. Though officially retired, Forsyth remains a respected voice on global affairs, frequently writing opinion pieces and giving interviews. Part 10. Why Frederick Forsyth still matters. So why does Frederick Forsyth still matter? Because in an age of disinformation, his commitment to truth, even within fiction, is rare. Because he made millions of people care about how the world works behind the scenes. Because his stories are not just thrilling, they're warnings. Whether it's the manipulation of governments, the rise of authoritarian regimes, or the misuse of technology, Forsyth's books continue to resonate. Frederick Forsyth isn't just the master of spy thrillers. He's a chronicler of shadow wars, a craftsman of suspense, and a man who walked the line between fiction and truth. His legacy isn't just in bookstores. It's in the way we think about power, secrecy, and the cost of silence. If you've ever turned a page with your heart racing, chances are you were reading Forsyth.